Hello everyone and welcome to another video. The year is 1984. After playing the Fifth Doctor for 3 seasons, Peter Davison has decided to leave Doctor Who, taking the advice of his own favourite Doctor, Patrick Troughton. But Davison isn't the only one who's decided to leave the show. His co-stars of Janet Fielding and Mark Strickson as Tegan and Turlough respectively also depart, with all 3 of them making their farewells in each one of the Fifth Doctor's final 3 stories. A new companion in the shape of Nicola Bryant's as Perry joins the Doctor just in time for the Fifth Doctor to regenerate into the Sixth Doctor, who is played by Colin Baker. Colin Baker's own tenure as the Doctor would be full of various behind-the-scenes issues, with the show even being put on hiatus for 18 months at one point. But what if that all changed? What if, in an alternate timeline, the Fifth Doctor's era hadn't have ended at that particular point? What if Pete Davison had stayed for season 22? Now let's just address the whole hiatus stuff straight away. Would Peter Davison staying on for another year have stopped all of that from happening entirely? Well, unfortunately no, I don't think so. You see, the then high-ups at the BBC wouldn't really care who was playing the Doctor or not. That was never really what it was about. The likes of Michael Grade and Jonathan Powell just absolutely hated the show. They saw it as an embarrassment, as a waste of the BBC's time and money. They were absolutely determined to get rid of it, however they could. So the 1985 hiatus would still happen in this alternate timeline. I wish it had never happened at all in any timeline, but never mind. I'll do another separate what if video all about that one day instead. Anyway, let's put that whole depressing thought to one side for the time being. How would Peter Davison staying on for another year affect the end of season 21? Well, I doubt it would still end with the Twin Dilemma, as that had always been intended to be the first story of a new Doctor, from what I could make out anyway. And I don't think the Caves of Androzani would work quite as well without the Doctor regenerating at the end. I mean, it'd still be a great story, don't get me wrong, but some of its impact and edge would now be lost if both the Fifth Doctor and Perry made out of it unscathed. But we'll come back to it later on. So we're once again going to take a look at the world of unmade stories that were mooted around this time. I'm going to choose The Place Where All Times Meet and Nightmare Country to replace Caves of Androzani and Twin Dilemma. The Place Where All Times Meet was all about people from different time zones finding themselves able to move through time in the English countryside. Nightmare Country, meanwhile, was all about the Doctor testing out a reality simulator. The simulator features a graveyard world which has been overrun by a race called the Frodiani, who eventually managed to escape into the real world. In our timeline, Nightmare Country had been rejected by then script editor Eric Saywood due to concerns over how much it would cost. But let's just say that these concerns are able to be addressed, and writer Stephen Gallagher is able to make the story more doable on the show's limited budget. And then we come to the alternate season 22, which probably wouldn't be too different from what we got in our timeline, apart from the fact that the Fifth Doctor would now be in it, not the Sixth of course. Attack of the Cybermen, Vengeance on Varos, The Mark of the Rani, The Two Doctors, and even Timelash would still play out the same. The 45-minute format would still be a thing, by the way, and as for the matter of title sequences, maybe they would have just used the same titles they'd used for the rest of Peter Davison's era, or maybe they would have used a Davison version of Colin Baker's more sparkly titles. I kind of like the latter idea myself, although I still use the former for the intro earlier, just to make things easier for myself. With Davison having stayed on for another year, this would obviously mean that the Fifth Doctor and Perry would have more time to develop as a Doctor companion team. But now we get to the matter of what the Fifth Doctor's final story would be in this alternate timeline. I think it's most likely that John Nathan Turner would still have wanted the season to end with the Sixth Doctor's first story. So I'm going to have the Fifth Doctor still go out in the caves of Androzani, which has now been moved to the penultimate slot of the alternate season 22. And then I'll have Revelation of the Daleks acting as the Sixth Doctor's first story, not the dreaded Twin Dilemma, thank goodness. This is mainly because I think it'd be better to have the Sixth Doctor's era start with a battle against an old foe, rather than whatever the Twin Dilemma was trying to do. Oh, and the Sixth Doctor would still be played by Colin Baker because, again, I can't personally see any reason why it wouldn't be him. But if you know of any reason, then feel free to correct me in the comments. The problem with having Colin Baker starting at this point now is that his first full season as the Doctor would be delayed due to the 18-month long hiatus in 1985. So his first season would probably be The Trial of a Time Lord season 23. I can imagine Colin staying on for at least another season until Michael Grades and Jonathan Powell order J&T to fire him at the end of the alternate season 24, which would probably still be more or less the same run of stories as we got in our timeline. So Colin Baker's era would now be comprised of just 6 or 9 stories instead of the 8 or 11 we got in our timeline, depending on how you want to count the Trial of a Time Lord, of course. So poor old Colin would have even less a chance to prove how good a Doctor he could be, which is even more sad and depressing than what we got. So yeah, even though Peter Davison staying on for a 4th season would have been good news for fans of the 5th Doctor, it would have resulted in an even worse situation for fans of the 6th Doctor. So that's a great and cheery note to end this What If on, isn't it? Even though I do really like the 5th Doctor, I'd much rather have things work out how they did in our timeline compared to how this alternate timeline's gone. Or better yet, maybe the BBC high-ups could have just put their own feelings towards the show to one side and allow Colin Baker to stay on to beat Tom Baker's record to become the longest running Doctor. Maybe it's more important to not let your personal opinions cloud your judgment. Just a thought, Michael Grade. But anyway, so there's my take on what if Peter Davison had stayed for season 22. But what did you think? Do you like my take on it or not? And would you have done anything differently? Please let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, so thanks for watching, hope you liked it. Please don't forget to press that subscribe button below, as well as press the bell icon at the side of it, so that you'll stay notified of when all my new videos come out. This channel currently has 1,059 subscribers as of time of writing and recording this video. But if we can get to 2,500 by the end of this year, then I will do another Q&A, where you can ask me whatever questions you want. Just keep them polite, please. Also, please rate, and I shall see you all in another video. So, until next time, bye-bye!